My fellow congressmen and women, for those of you who don't know, the US, as many people know in the world really, it's 50 states, has been for a very long time at this point. But as you may know, we have a few extra territories that belong to the US. They're US citizens, but they're not actually part of these 50 states. One of those, the most populous of these territories, is Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has a population of 3.2 million citizens, and not a single one of them has proper representation in Congress. Every single one of those citizens goes underrepresented every single day. That's a larger population than 18 states, and this population alone counts for more people in the US than all four of the bottom four states in population combined, and yet none of them have a vote in Congress. Sure, they have a speaker who kind of sits in and maybe says a few things on their behalf, but they don't really have anyone, and this has caused a lot of problems in the past. For instance, during these hurricanes that they've had over the past few years, they've needed billions of dollars in aid from the federal government to help rebuild the island that's been constantly battered by these massive hurricanes. And yet, none of that is getting to the island like it should because there's no representation in Congress. So, my proposal is that we vote to add Puerto Rico as a 51st state. This would require an expansion of both the House of Representatives and the Senate. The House of Representatives would be a temporary expansion until the next census happens, and then it would go back to its normal size, and the seats will be divided up based on population. And the Senate will increase to 102 members to account for the extra 2 senators for the state. The state will retain all of the borders that it currently has, so nothing will expand, not much will change. Every member of this territory is already a US citizen, so not a whole lot will change, but they will finally have the representation that they deserve in Congress. They'll finally have a voice. And in a country where a lot of our history is based on we don't want taxation without representation, for example. That was a big part of our history, and yet these people who are US citizens don't have any representation at all, and I just don't think that's right. So, like I said, vote to add Puerto Rico as the 51st state of the US. Any questions?
Order. Since it's a territory, does that mean that all laws apply the same as it would a state?
So currently all federal US laws do apply in Puerto Rico, and any laws regarding adding Puerto Rico as a state are already being followed. For instance, they need to have a constitution, they need to have a Republican form of government, they need to hold elections. They already do all of that. So there wouldn't be very much different in terms of actually how the islands run, because they already have English as a primary language. It's English and Spanish on the island. They already have a form of government that is acceptable as a state. So not much would actually have to change.
Representative Cedarholm.
Are there any benefits to adding Puerto Rico as a state rather than keeping it as a territory?
So adding Puerto Rico as a state would allow us to impose federal income tax.
What time is that?
Tax. We get money.